Good afternoon. I would like to welcome each person that's with us today to our weekly Global Perspective Institute. Today we'll be talking with representatives from Global Ties US. Global Ties Alabama is a member of the Global Ties US network. There are about approximately 80 other community-based organizations like ours that participate in the Global Ties US network. And our discussion today is going to center around Expo 2020 Dubai. Our speakers are, as I said, are from Global Ties US. The person who will be leading that discussion is Franzi Rook. She oversees capacity development for the Global Ties Network. Prior to joining the Global Ties US, Franzi worked extensively in international student recruitment, marketing, program design, and community outreach. Her work experience spans 3 continents. She received her master's in public administration with a focus on nonprofit management and leadership. Francie, if you would like to begin the discussion and also introduce the team that's working with you on Expo 2020.
Thank you so much, Annette, and thank you for hosting us for this wonderful opportunity that we are delighted to share with everyone who's on this call. I'm going to get started and share my screen with you so we can all see the presentation. So what we are going to be talking about for this call is the US Pavilion at Expo 2020 in Dubai. And we want you to bring your community to the world. And really speaking on this call will be my wonderful colleagues, and I would like to introduce them to you. You will be hearing from my colleague, Dana Hoyes. Dana is managing the cultural programs for the work that we're doing for the US Pavilion. And then you will also hear from my colleague, Seth Joyner, who is managing the Youth Ambassador Program for the Pavilion. I'm on board for this project, kind of working with our network together and with our other key stakeholders. Just take a note of the email addresses here if you want to reach out to anyone. If you don't remember how to contact us, it's super easy. It's expo@globaltiesus.org. And with that, I will hand it over to Seth.
Everyone, thanks, Franzi. You're probably all wondering, what is a World Expo? Well, they started in 1851 in London, but everyone will remember things like the Eiffel Tower and the ice cream cone that were invented at these world fairs. It's the world's oldest and largest mega event and happens every couple of years since it started in London. Like the Olympics, it's the World Festival. It's the Olympics of culture, as I've heard it said before, kind of showcasing technology, innovation, and human excellence. Past expos have been showcasing things like the X-ray machine, cotton candy, and the ice cream cone. I'm really excited to be on the team as a part of this Expo 2020 experience. I will say that it's worth noting that Expo 2020 will be retaining its name, although it's going to open in 2021. But yes, next slide, please. This is one of my favorite pictures of Expo 2020. You'll see that things going on in Dubai are go big or go home. That mentality is for sure there. In the middle is this golden dome that will be the center of attention on Expo grounds. This will be the first time a World's Fair or Expo comes to the Middle East, so they are making it something we won't forget. Something worth noting in this picture particularly is Expo Village in the background, similar to Olympic Village, if you've been to the Olympics before or seen something like it. That's where most of, if not all, of the participants at these pavilions will be housed, including the youth ambassadors. But more information on that later. The new dates are October 1st 1st, 21 to March 30th, 2022. Next slide, please. Here's another great picture. There'll be one country, one pavilion. We're talking about the US pavilion there, but it's expected to have 25 million visitors. But with COVID, there will be things in place that will kind of keep everyone safe as they plan on opening this next year. People always ask, is Expo still happening? Yes, it's still happening. Those safety regulations are headed our way. As soon as we know, we'll get those out to you as well. But that's a frequently asked question. There's 192 countries. We are only one of them. We will have the US Pavilion, youth ambassadors will be there, as well as cultural performers. I just love this picture. I could talk about it all day. Next slide, please. Before you hit the play button, Franzi, thank you, you're on it. This is just kind of a video that the US Department of State has put out to get you excited about Expo 2020 Dubai, just as excited as I am. Thank you, Franzi. Hit the play button, please.
Since 1851, World Fairs, now known as World Expos, have brought people together to innovate, to collaborate, and to solve important problems. From New York to Seattle, the United States has hosted many of these historic events. American participation in expos has transformed humanity with the social, economic, cultural, and technological triumphs of US ingenuity. From exploring the West to exploring space, from the Industrial Revolution to the Digital Revolution, from great architecture to artificial intelligence, the United States has demonstrated its can-do spirit. While we've come so far, we're definitely not finished. Not just an event, Dubai 2020 is a pivotal moment. It's the first expo in the Middle East and a once-in-a-generation opportunity to influence a vibrant region with a youthful population. Dubai 2020 will bring together 190 nations, enthrall more than 15 million people, and attract 5,000 plus media outlets. The United States will inspire 6 million visitors in a dynamic pavilion where stories of American mobility come to life. The U.S. Pavilion will promote the vision of American enterprise and showcase the thought leadership and corporate citizenship of partner companies. A gateway to the Middle East, Africa, Central Europe, and South Asia, particularly the Indian subcontinent. Dubai is a bridge to emerging markets. Here, the future of business happens, a place where companies create a lasting impression on the global community. The planet is facing great challenges. America is a catalyst for change. Our future looks better when we work together. The world is counting on us.
Thank you, Franzi. That video, it does a great job, almost takes our jobs from us in explaining all of that. But I'll hand the next slide over to my colleague, Dana. Thank you.
Thanks, Seth. And hello, everyone. So as Seth mentioned, there's 192 country pavilions at Expo, one of which is the US Pavilion. Each country has a theme. For Expo 2020, the US's theme is life, liberty, and the pursuit of the future. You may be wondering who's all involved in this pavilion. It's funded by the US Department of State's Expo unit. And then we are working with a company called ThinkWell on the operations of the pavilion. And it's also sponsored by PepsiCo. And then that is the official logo of the US Pavilion, the flag with Expo 2020 Dubai underneath. And then the pictures on the right, the first picture is of the facade of the US Pavilion, also all three of our Zoom backgrounds, you may have noticed. And then the picture on the bottom is one of the prototypes for the inside of the pavilion. Well, there'll be a moving walkway taking people through the different exhibits to kind of keep the crowd under control and make sure there's a constant flow of people going throughout the pavilion. if you're interested in seeing a bit more about the construction or other things that are happening at the pavilion, you can go to usapavilion.org, and there's a ton more information about pretty much everything pavilion related that you can think of. Next slide, please. All right, so Global Ties US is very excited to be working on this project with all of our network. As you may or may not know, the Global Ties Network has a broader reach across the US, and therefore we are in a great position to recruit a diverse group of both youth ambassadors and cultural performers across the country that really represents all of the diversity that the US has to offer. We are looking to recruit 75 youth ambassadors in total over the 6 months at Expo, and they'll kind of be the faces of the US Pavilion, greeting visitors and making those one-on-one people-to-people connections with people that come to our pavilion. We're also recruiting 390 cultural performers and speakers. They'll be performing throughout the 6 months of Expo at the US Pavilion, highlighting all of the different types of arts and culture that the US has. That network will also be connecting with local media and congressional district offices throughout the country to kind of create some more buzz around Expo in general. In the US, there's not as much excitement about Expos generally as there are in some other countries. So we're really hoping with this one, we can create some more awareness and hopefully bring another World Expo back to the US sometime soon. Next slide. And I'll hand it back over to Seth to talk about the youth ambassadors.
Thanks, Dana. This is my favorite part, but I'm biased. These are the faces of America. We are looking for diversity in all its forms to represent the US at the pavilion. They are honestly, sometimes the first people that visitors will meet from the US. So it is our job, Global Ties, to recruit and select, to oversee that process for 75 of them between the ages of 18 and 29. It's important to note that these people should be US citizens, as they'll be representing the US there. They'll be there to manage and guide the visitors as they go through the pavilion. But I like to say that we are looking for people who want to tell their stories. These 75 individuals should be willing to engage with whoever visits the Expo and be there to, like Dana said, make those connections, those people-to-people connections. This is something unique to the US Pavilion. Although other countries might have things similar, the US is really known for this ambassadors program. We're looking, and that's what we're doing this outreach with Global Ties Alabama for. We're looking for people who reflect geographic diversity as well in the US, from all over the country, and not just, the big cities and the typical places that people outside of the US would think of. We want these youth ambassadors to really embody what it means to be an American citizen. Next slide, please. Dana?
And then our other program that we're working on is the cultural program. So we are recruiting those 390 performers and speakers that I mentioned earlier, and we are hoping that those performers can really represent US culture beyond what some people may initially think about when they just see Hollywood movies or other things in popular media. And we're looking for grassroots and semi-professional talent. And then some of the other requirements that we're looking for when evaluating some of these performers is their alignment with Expo themes and sub-themes. Throughout Expo, there's a variety of different theme weeks, which are outlined on the right next to the picture. And then there's just the general overall Expo theme, which is connecting minds, creating the future. And then there's additional sub-themes of mobility, sustainability, and opportunity. So we want to make sure our performers are also either talking about those topics, whether they're a speaker or there's some kind of connection to some of those in their art. Next slide, please. Additionally, we are looking for performers across disciplines, including dance, music, literature, food, sports, pretty much anything that represents an aspect of American culture we're interested in having at the Pavilion. And we really hope that these performers can engage with the Pavilion visitors and make those same kind of people-to-people connections that the youth ambassadors are doing, but through arts and culture. And then another important thing that we're looking for is that these performers can demonstrate in their art some kind of clear connection to US culture. So they're not just performing maybe a traditional dance routine from a different country, but it's uniquely American. We want people to see our performers and know that they're performers at the US Pavilion. And then just again, we're recruiting about 390 performers, but that will be broken down into a variety of different group sizes that range from solo artists or speakers to larger groups of about 30. And each of these performers or groups will be in Dubai for about 5 to 7 days, and they'll have to perform a minimum of 4 times, but possibly more than that, depending on the type of art that they have. Next slide. So that's it on our end, but we are really interested to see what questions you may have for us about either of these programs or just Expo 2020 overall.
I was purposely brief about the Youth Ambassador Program, Dana. I know they have questions to either one of us. But yeah, we'll answer yours first. I could go on. I could talk for a while. I won't.
Hello. Hello.
Thank
Hey,
you,
John.
Oh, yeah, this is this is John Davis. I'm here in Athens, Alabama, and I had a question regarding both of these categories, actually. The first regarding the youth ambassadors. Will there be like a questionnaire or something that you'll send out in order for us to fill out in order to give you a rough idea of the person we're thinking about? And then secondly, what about the same question with regards to the arts specialists? What exactly type of information will you need, and how much of a lead up time will we need to get this kind of information in?
Good question, John. Dana, don't mind if I answer the Youth Ambassador one first. Youth ambassadors will be, thank you, Franzi. Franzi's right there on the assist. Here's some more information. John, particularly the questionnaire you're referring to, youth ambassadors will jump right into that apply now button and fill out an application, at which time they'll be asked, where did you hear about this opportunity? So they'll be able to let us know where they heard it from. But that's how your job as an outreach person, thank you for your efforts, is to direct them to the application portal. There's that. They're looking, as far as what kind of youth ambassadors we're looking for, or people we're looking for, they don't have to speak a foreign language, although it would be helpful. You'll see there on the website that Franzi has pulled up that we're looking for Arabic, Mandarin, Farsi, Hindi, Russian, and Urdu. Also French, Bengali, and Spanish. But that is not to say that their application won't be reviewed if they don't speak any of those languages other than English. We already have some candidates that are stellar candidates only speaking English, and that's great. We're looking for those who are willing to tell their stories. I'll say that again. Yeah, Dana?
Yes, similarly, there's an application form online. And for the cultural performers, there's kind of 2 ways that people can get involved in the opportunities. You can nominate someone else, and to do that, you really just need their contact information, a little bit about them, like what type of art, are they in music group, dance, and then just share a couple links to their portfolios or YouTube channel or something along those lines. Or if you're an artist yourself, you can just self-nominate, and that form has more information about the groups availability and some other questions that only the artists themselves would know. So if you're nominating someone else, then I would reach out to them and then ask them to fill out that same self-nomination form just to get some information and to make sure that we're evaluating everyone on the same information.
One question that immediately leaps to my mind is, if the person would be selected, what costs are associated with that?
Flights are
For
included. Sorry, go ahead, Dana.
For the cultural performer opportunity, all their international travel is covered, ground transportation to the hotel, their hotel while they're there. They also get daily per diem at the GSA rate for Dubai at the time, and as well as a honorarium that may vary slightly depending on how many people are in the group, but there's some frequently asked questions on our website that goes into a bit more detail. So if you wanted to direct other people who who may have questions there, we try to keep that updated as much as we can as new questions come in.
Okay.
For the youth ambassadors, sorry, John, I'll just jump in here. Youth ambassadors, depending on what cohort they're placed in or that they serve in, they will, I say that because there are 3 cohorts, one being for just the fall of 2021, one being just for the spring of 2022, and one for being the fall and the spring for 6 months together. That 6-month cohort is eligible for a $1,500 service completion bonus at the end. I say eligible. They have to be deemed for acceptable service, but that shouldn't be a problem there. $300 of every other youth ambassador, including that 6 months. Everyone will receive $300 a week for their service at the US Pavilion. And yes, flights are included both ways. It's important to note that for youth ambassadors, they will be doing a launch program right before they fly out to Dubai in September of next year, 2021. Flights will be included for that as well, but there'll be 2 days where they come to DC and see some representatives and do other things to get orientated before they fly off to Dubai. The spring people, the spring youth ambassadors that won't be joining directly to Dubai will then fly home. All of that is covered, by the way. But yeah, I say that because it is not the same for cultural performers. They don't have a launch program in DC. Dana, I think it's just going straight to Dubai after orientation, correct?
Yeah, we will be hosting a virtual pre-departure orientation with each performer group just to give them a bit more information, make sure they know what's going to happen when they arrive on the ground and some other information, but they'll just be departing from their city of origin in the US, or if they're coming from somewhere else, to Dubai directly.
And we have a question from Terrence in the chat. What is the selection process and timeline for both the youth ambassadors and cultural performers? Is it better for candidates to apply earlier, or are applications only reviewed after the deadline? And Dana, I would say, since you last talked about the cultural performers, let's get started with that.
Yeah.
Good.
So for the cultural performer application, the form is live. It was launched on September 15th. And the process for that is the nomination form online is reviewed by a variety of reviewers online. And then the next round is a phone interview to discuss more about the opportunity and to make sure people understand that it's not just a normal performance, but also the cultural diplomacy aspect of the opportunity, and to make sure everyone's on the same page with the conditions of participation, what's covered, what isn't. And then the final round is a selection committee of people from State Department, the consulate in Dubai, and then other people who have expertise in the different performance disciplines. And then those people will be notified of their selection after that. We are accepting performers on a rolling basis. So for this program, I would suggest applying or nominating others sooner rather than later, because we do have to start filling the performance schedule and booking venues and doing lots of logistics. So for this one, we definitely want to get started. I'll pass it over to Seth because the Youth Ambassador program works a bit differently.
Thanks, Dana. The final deadline for this application, I hate to say final because it may change, depending on necessary need. February 26th, 2021 is the final deadline. I say that because similar to the Cultural Performance Program, we are accepting on a rolling basis, but it is not first come, first serve. We are looking to balance the cohorts. For example, if we have 8 glorious people from Alabama, I'm not sure I could take them all. You know, we could take them all. We want to balance these regions and have diversity in all its forms. So that being said, this is not first come, first serve, but yes, I urge you to apply as soon as possible, or to have candidates apply as soon as possible, because the earlier the better. Applications are usually reviewed as of right now, as soon as they arrive into the system. However, the next set of final interviews is going to begin at the beginning of next month. I'm saying that out loud to kind of speak it into fruition there. Yes, that the system is that the application comes in, they'll get an initial review from 3 separate reviewers. If they make it to the second round, that includes a video response. This is all on the application, and information about the video response or the one-way interview is available right at the application portal. But yeah, the first round is we're looking for resumes and transcripts. The second round, and short answer questions. The second round is reviewing the video response that we see. These videos are 15 minutes long maximum. But yes, we kind of aggregate those scores based on 6 reviews and then go moving to a final review page there. A final interview stage for those that make it, but I'm sure Alabama will produce some excellent candidates to speak of. Yeah, it would be better to get your application in as soon as possible. Because you want to get the Alabama slots, or whatever region to represent as soon as possible. But yes, I'll be happy to answer any more questions.
If I understand this correctly, the youth ambassadors are actually more the receptionist at the pavilion, and they are the ones who will be available to answer questions and to guide visitors. Is that their primary mission there? Not, obviously the cultural representatives, that's self-explanatory, but the others would be primarily available to respond to any guest, any visitors who are interested in finding out about the country, and they would be somehow clearly identified as the representatives. Is that correct?
Youth ambassadors will be, yes, youth ambassadors will be in uniform. They'll be easily identifiable. They are the receptionists, but also that might be an oversimplification of the role. They're there to connect. They're there to manage the crowds. They're there to help facilitate the events that happen. They're there to, some in the past have actually performed, but that's another kind of thing. They're there. They're there to serve as the faces of the U.S. They're there to answer questions, to put people in the right direction, but they're also there to share their stories. And they'll be given a chance to do a lot. It's a rotating schedule that they'll be on, doing different tasks around the pavilion to keep it running. They're there, they're the lifeblood. They're there to keep it going. I'm really excited because this opportunity gives them so much different experiences to speak of. So I wouldn't just say receptionist, but yes, they're there to answer the questions. Yes, it will be a lot of time on their feet. I think one of the hardest things I have to lean into is the idea that yeah, it's gonna be a lot of work, but it's going to be rewarding in that it's kind of a once in a lifetime deal. They won't get another chance to be involved in something similar, maybe in a long time.
Well, thank you very much. This
Thank you.
this is extremely helpful, I think.
Welcome.
Do we have other questions?
Yes, I have one question. A few people have been asking they would like to participate, but they would not like to commit to the 3, 4, or 7 month cohorts. Are there any other opportunities for smaller cohorts that are available?
So for the youth ambassadors, that's kind of like what it's set at. It's either you're there for the full duration of Expo supporting the pavilion, so that work starts in mid-September of next year through early April, or you're doing sort of the first stretch of that. That's what we call the fall cohort through mid-January, or you're in that spring cohort mid-January through the end of Expo. There are other opportunities at the pavilion for anyone who does not fit this particular age group, or who might not be able to commit this particular time to it, or where you just know the kind of work requirement isn't yours. Those jobs are posted at usapavilion.org, and they continue to be posted. Right now, they're looking for more longer term, to fill more longer term roles. But the closer we get to Expo, the more shorter term opportunities will be available as well. There are also opportunities for study tours, business trips and the like, to make business connections. And that is all really up to our network itself to organize. We are not, Global Ties US is not the pavilion operator, so we cannot guarantee any Expo entrance passes, any Expo visas. None of that, just know that. But what we can do is certainly keep the conversation going and help you and help Global Ties Alabama figure this out. If you do want to send a delegation, how this can be, how this can work. There are various universities in the region that are involved in Expo activities. So that could also be a way to maybe find a connection to collaborate with Expo itself, is through other entities that are involved.
Sounds good.
Any other questions?
I'm gonna add the USA Pavilion link into the chat box. People always ask, where will they be? Let me add that in now. usapavilion.org.
The link didn't work, our website link. Expo 2020 Dubai.globaltiesus.org. So it should
Quick,
be.
somebody try it. It should work. Is it because of the www in front of it?
It could be. Let's see if that one works.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but from that page, you can find all the other pages. In the pavilion page is usapavilion.org. Let me also drop that in the chat.
It is.
Seth has it. Let's see, this one comes up as a link. Not that we want you to leave this webinar, obviously, but just so all of you have the links. Again, if you go to the Global Ties US website, you have the information. You can also ask Global Ties Alabama for the information. They can share that with you as well. Just keep in mind, this is an ongoing project that keeps on changing. It's changed a lot since the beginning of this year when Global Ties US started to be involved, as you might imagine, and it continues to change. So just bear in mind some information that is hot off the press and accurate as of today might be out of date next week. but we're hopeful that those major changes that this project has seen and that Expo overall has seen are coming to a close, that we're sticking with the dates that we have now, and that, you know, next year they can actually truly kick this off. If you had a chance to be at a World's Expo, you know it's a fantastic event. It's absolutely worth your time. If you have not had a chance to go yet, I definitely recommend going to this one. This is truly, like Seth said, it's cultural diplomacy, the Olympics of cultural diplomacy. There are so many countries to discover, so many people to meet from other countries. It's truly like nothing you've ever experienced. The closest is maybe Epcot in Disney, but that's all fake, right? But Expo is real. So you're truly going from one building to the next, and it's like you're entering another country. You hear the language, you get the food, you get the culture, the music, the atmosphere, the architecture. I mean, it's truly wonderful. So if you are going, bring a lot of time as well.
Franzi, am I making a promise that we can keep? Will we be sending this presentation around, or the recording around, or a follow-up email?
Let's ask Annette.
This is being recorded, and Global Ties will be making, I know we've done quite a bit of research to see what different performers or cultural resources that are available within our state, and we'll be reaching out to associations, interest groups. We're making contact with universities to let them know about the opportunities to be an ambassador. And as we receive information from Global Ties US, we'll be sharing that information through our digital newsletter and also on our website. And that will be ongoing really through until this is completed. Once everything is underway, and we will be providing, I know, just some updates and information about certainly what groups have been selected, or individuals, maybe doing a feature on individuals who are ambassadors. I will say to each of you, if you know of someone, please contact the office to let us know so that we can make an official contact, providing an application, or those individuals could go online, has been directed today to do that.
Thank you.
Certainly.
And TC, absolutely, I hear you on the age, and unfortunately not making the cut there. We had to make the cut somewhere. But I would definitely recommend that you check out the USA Pavilion website directly for openings that they have, if this is a project that you would like to work on and to represent the United States in that role. And Seth just dropped the link there. It's under the Get Involved tab, is where currently other positions are posted. And again, that really gets updated periodically. There's a lot of information, as you might imagine, with this project. There are a lot of moving parts, and in Global Ties US and in Global Ties Alabama, we're small parts in this, but very important parts, because you can't have the Faces of America without recruiting them. Oh. So, you know, this is really key. So we're super excited to hear that you guys are interested. If you know someone who could be a cultural performer, a speaker, please do reach out to Global Ties Alabama, as they are actually nominating acts, as well as you know, the self application is also possible. And yeah, for the youth ambassadors, I hope you take the information that we shared today. I don't know if there are any other questions that the attendees have, or maybe that you, Annette, have for this project.
I think I certainly would like to invite each of you back in a few months as we get further into this, to give us updates in a GPI series, to let us know what's been going on. And maybe by that time, we might even have some information about some representatives from Alabama. I want to thank each of you for joining today, our speakers, and then also certainly everyone that's in our virtual audience. We look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done. Very interesting.
Thanks, John.